What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to the Respawn, the series where I answer your questions. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark, one of the world's leading VPNs, with a special end-of-the-year offer. Protecting yourself online is getting more important every day, and Surfshark provides some of the best security available with high-level encryption and a multi-hop system allowing connections to 2 servers for extra protection. Surfshark has a very strict no-logs policy which guarantees your privacy online. Now, with so many people spending more time at home, one of Surfshark's best features is the ability to access region-locked streaming content anywhere in the world. Surfshark gives you access to dozens of streaming libraries including Netflix, Disney+, and more. This allows you to view content that might be blocked in your area but is available somewhere else. Surfshark also has great 24/7 support and a 30-day money-back guarantee, meaning you have nothing to risk when you try it out. And right now you can take advantage of a special end-of-the-year offer. Using my code BLAMETC, you can get 84% off and 4 months free, but the offer is only good for a limited time, so click the link down below and try it out. First question, do you think character variations are a good idea? They're already going to be doing this in Overwatch 2 with the campaign missions, where you're going to be able to pick different talents, and these will change and modify the abilities and also give you some different stats and that sort of thing. That's going to work just fine with the campaign because you're going against the computer, and it really doesn't matter all that much if some of the abilities are a little bit weaker, a little bit stronger. If it's not perfectly balanced, it doesn't really change a whole lot. However, if you're going to bring that sort of thing over into the PvP, that's going to be a lot more difficult. However, there are examples of this sort of thing working in a PvP mode for other games. I believe Paladins, you pick all your talents and stuff before the match begins, and then in Dota 2, you pick the different talents that you want to take during the match as your character is leveling up. So this kind of thing definitely can work. Dota 2 is extremely well balanced, even with all the different abilities. I mean, they have over 100 characters, they have dozens and dozens of items, plus talent trees, and it's still incredibly well balanced. So you absolutely can get this sort of thing to work when you have different variations of the same character. But with Overwatch, it's more difficult. And that's because in Overwatch, you can change your character anytime you want, whereas the other games, you pick one at the beginning, and that's what you're stuck with for the rest of the match. But how would it work? Are you going to pick at the beginning of the match? Do you have to pick new talents whenever you change characters? Is it going to reset your ult charge anytime you change your talents? There's so many different things. I mean, you could have a more global system where you have red, blue, and green, and at the beginning of the match, you pick which theme that you want to go with, right? You pick the red theme, and then all the characters that you play have their talents kind of moved over to the red side. Or you could pick the blue, and then all of the characters you play have their talents and their skills and their attributes set over to the blue side, and then you don't get to change the talents during the match. You could do that kind of thing, but I mean, I think it could work, but there's just so much going on that they might have to modify the overall system of how often you can change characters and that sort of thing. And it's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if it would work in Overwatch, specifically because you can change characters anytime you want. Next up, do you expect a character to die in Overwatch 2's story? Yes, absolutely. We're talking specifically about the campaign mode here for Overwatch 2. This will have no effect in the normal PvP mode. It's not like they're going to take a character and, you know, he's going to end up getting taken out in the campaign story, and then suddenly nobody can use that character in the PvP mode. That's not going to happen. I know some characters people would like to see removed, but it's not going to happen. However, the campaign, the story, is something entirely different. And they've talked about how they want to have really significant changes to the characters and the lore during these stories. There was an interview quite a while ago where some of the Overwatch devs talked about how they have plans to do stuff like breaking Reinhardt's hammer in half. And, you know, how is Reinhardt now going to function without his hammer? And obviously that's going to have pretty big changes to the story and to the campaign mode, but they're not going to take away his hammer in the PvP mode, so that's not going to happen. But I do fully expect that some characters will end up dying during the story mode, and if I had to guess, I'm going to say probably maybe Torbjorn or Reinhardt. I really don't want to go too much into it, but suffice it to say, if you look at the characteristics of the different heroes, it is far, far more likely that they would get rid of someone like Torbjorn or Reinhardt as opposed to, oh, I don't know, Pharah or Soldier 76. You know, 'cause reasons. Also, if you take a look back at the Overwatch 2 animation, when Reinhardt and Brigitte arrive, it's Brigitte that is giving the commands, not Reinhardt. So I definitely think that one or more characters are going to end up getting taken out in order to promote others. And speaking of Brigitte, do you think swapping the stun and knockback on Brig's Shield Bash and Whip Shot would work? No, not really. I mean, it might create some interesting situations, but really all you're going to end up doing is giving Brig a long-range stun, which probably isn't a good idea. I think the issue with Brig, I mean, there's a lot of issues with the character, but really having multiple CC abilities probably isn't a good idea. Again, I do think that the character needs a rework, and I have been working on that myself, but with so much stuff going on, I just haven't had time to put everything together. Next up, would a tank with a turret that has more health than the hero work? Yes, I absolutely think this would work. In fact, speaking of reworks, this is one of the things that I've been trying to do with Torbjorn. I've been messing around with a lot of different ideas. I know Blizzard probably would never end up actually making these changes. It's just one of those things that I kind of think is a fun thing to do. I've been trying to turn Torbjorn into a tank. I think this would be an incredibly unique and interesting way to play a tank character, and I definitely think that it would work, but it's going to be a little difficult to figure it all out. And continuing down that line, do you think Overwatch 2 will come with hero reworks? I think there's a pretty good chance we'll have at least one big rework, but there's probably going to be a whole bunch of little ones where character abilities do get changed in some way that would be more than just like a damage buff or reducing a cooldown or something like that. Some other changes to the character. I don't think we're going to get a whole bunch of really big reworks. Like, I don't think we're going to have a completely different way of playing Bastion and Torb and Symmetra and Sombra and a couple of the others. I don't think we're going to get huge changes. Maybe one character might get that. Because remember, they're going to be adding 2, 3, 4 new characters when Overwatch 2 gets released. And they're going to have abilities that we've never seen before that might have all kinds of really interesting interactions with existing characters. And it might be the case that some of these interactions are just way, way too good. So they're going to have to change how certain things work in order to add the new character. And this is a thing that's a lot easier to do with the Overwatch 2 introduction as opposed to trying to put this into a patch with Overwatch 1, right? Like, they don't want to change a whole bunch of stuff with Overwatch 1 until they're ready to add the character that actually causes all these changes. So it's a little bit easier to do this sort of thing. But I think that, again, definitely going to be a bunch of changes, though not a whole bunch of full big reworks. Do you think adding more tanks and healers would fix the role queue issue? Kinda yes, mostly no. You would certainly get more players wanting to use the new characters, and if you added, let's say, 3 new tanks and 3 new healers, you're going to have people that just like those characters and want to play them, and therefore you're going to get more into those parts of the role queue, but ultimately, it doesn't fix the main issue, which is that the vast majority of players in Overwatch simply don't like the kind of play style that's required with being a tank or being a healer. They just don't like it. They don't find it to be fun because of how those roles currently operate. So until that is addressed, until you have a kind of change in design on how both tank and healer function in the game, you're always going to have a role queue issue where more people want to play DPS. Next up, could there be an ability that bounces between the enemy team? Yes, absolutely. It could do all kinds of different things. You can have something that provides a speed debuff where it will move from one target to another, just, whoever gets closer after a certain amount of time or something like that. You could have it deal a little bit of damage and then jump to another target and deal damage. And this could be a regular ability, it could be an ultimate. In fact, I even added something like this for one of the hero concepts that I made as an ultimate. You throw it out, it deals some damage, it bounces to a target that's close and within line of sight, deals some damage, and then it keeps bouncing among the enemy team, so that the way that you would have to counter something like this is the enemy team would need to spread out as much as they can, or they would have to hide behind walls and that sort of thing, and that's how you would deal with this kind of an ability. But if everybody is all grouped up, then it's just going to be a bad time for them. So yeah, you absolutely could have an ability like this, and if you would like to check out that hero concept, I'll put a link for it down below. That's going to be all the questions for this video. I posted a new card over on the community section of my YouTube channel if you have a question that you'd like to see in the Overwatch Respawn. Also, thank you again to the sponsor for today's video, Surfshark. If you want to get a really awesome deal before the end of the year, you can get 84% off and 4 months free. Check out the link down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to be comment of the video, then leave yours, and while you're at it, ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Also, if you want to get some cool gear, join my Discord server, or follow me on social media, then check out the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.